Brand new Ascendancy classes, multiple new unique items, ominous language hinting toward unexpected new classes, new Atlas content like Rogue Exiles, ice cool new support gems, controversial tower changes, a spicy first Oriani kill race, an interview announcement reminder, and a very exaggerated crime by grinding your games. Hey Exiles, the latest teasers about Path of Exile 2's first major patch are awesome, exciting, and just a tad worrying, and we are going to explore why in today's video. I've been waiting to do one of these until we had sufficient information, and late last night, grinding your games pushed us over the edge. As always, all the sources for these teasers and discussion points will be listed in the description below if you'd like to read them for yourself. And as always, if you enjoy my content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the sub notification bell, and watch all the way through. That latter point really helps spread the video to more exiles in the algorithm. Thank you so much for your support. Let's go. This right here is the latest teaser set and the one I'd like to explore first today because it's the most exciting. So Grinding Your Games last night said they have big changes coming to Path of Exile 2 that they need to keep under wraps. Remember that for later. And they'd like to show us a few teasers of some minor things coming to the game, like multiple new Ascendancy classes. Yes, 020 will have some new Ascendancy classes. Here's the illustration for one. I wonder what this guy's specialist is in. Countless wars have left you with skills somewhat resembling a decent officer. This obviously is a mercenary ascendancy, the third and final mercenary ascendancy that we're getting for Path of Exile 2 right now. And it has some hints in the art that kind of explain what it's going to be, or at least help me theorize what it's going to be. The first and foremost is this guy right here. We have our mercenary, and then we have a dude that he's commanding. So what might this mean? Well, in the Path of Exile 2 backend, there is this skill right here, Summon Companion, that allows you to summon a reviving companion to aid you in combat. The mercenary will use socketed attacks and can be given equipment in the skills panel. I think that is what is attached to this ascendancy, which I'm going to call the commander or the veteran, which is a little nod to Silver XYZ, one of my good content creation friends. And you will be able to summon your own single minion and fully deck them out. You can kind of do this in Path of Exile 1 with something called Animate Guardian, but this will be taking it up to the next level in Path of Exile 2. The only downside here is if that's true, well, then only the commander or the veteran will be able to summon this specific minion. So maybe this is going to come as a gem in the same update as this, and this ascendancy will allow you to buff minions in some way, support your allies in some way, and maybe, just maybe, it'll also have to do with ballistas, because right now ballistas are terrible and they only really scale off gem level. There's no other way to scale them truly. Maybe this ascendancy will come with just that. There's also one other possibility right here. What is this dude holding in one hand? A crossbow. Maybe this will give you the ability to wield crossbows in one hand and use a shield or maybe some other side of weapon in the other. That would be pretty rad. We also see a sword here. I don't think that means we're getting swords. It's possible, but I don't think that's the case. Or do I? This teaser also came with a little snippet of the new Atlas passive skill tree, which has improvements coming in 020. There is one thing I'd like to note here. It's new nodes that are right here. If I zoom in, these with the little people on them, right? Those are Rogue Exile nodes in Path of Exile 1. So I reckon that Path of Exile 2 are getting Rogue Exiles as a mechanic in 020. Essentially what this is, they are unique monsters that can spawn in your maps that have the equipment and skills that player characters can use as well. So in Path of Exile 2, those are actually pretty awesome. They're mechanically complex. They might use combinations. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Grinding Your Games will be implementing Rogue Exiles in PoE2. And then it just looks like some more shrine nodes and some more strong box nodes in addition to the Rogue Exile nodes. And then we have two uniques that were teased as well in this particular teaser. The Prism Guardian, which allows you to scale spirit, maximum spirit, by increasing your life, which is great because there's no real incentive to do life-based builds right now, so that's kind of cool. I think this themes really well with a Templar class or a Druid class. One of the two, the Strength Int part of the tree. We see this as armor and energy shield, so it lines up with that just right. Then we also have this helmet that looks like a shield. It looks awesome, called the Deepest Tower, which allows enemies in your presence to count as being on low life, and that is incredibly powerful because of all the nodes spread across the passive tree that give you big damage boosts when your enemies are low life. In addition to the Witch Hunter Mercenary Ascendancy giving you tremendous damage boosts when your enemies are on low life. So this shield, or sorry, see, I'm confusing myself. This helmet might actually work really well with a certain sect of builds, and it also has a decent amount of stats on it with the Chaos Res and the Armor Energy Shield. Hopefully they change armor a little bit more in 0.2.0. We're not quite sure if that's happening or not. Then we have another 2 new unique items that were teased a few days ago, but I'm not really concerned about the uniques. Yes, they're cool. This essentially gives you Giant's Blood, this helmet right here, which is cool, and this allows random shrines to just buff you as you are moving throughout the map every 10 seconds. Hopefully the Avarice Shrine goes the way of the Dodo in this patch, because having that change all of your loot to gold would absolutely suck. What I really want to talk about here is the way that they tease this, okay? Because Grinding Your Games usually does things intentionally. Now let's look at the language here. Here are 2 new unique items coming to Path of Exile 2 in the 0.2.0 update. Embrace your gladiatorial fighting spirit by using the Bringer of Rain, or show your devotion to the gods of Rayclast, old or new, with the Hammer of the Faith 2-handed mace. Okay, so this is what I'm worried about. A lot of these unique items have been pointing toward perhaps other classes coming out in 0.2.0 and not the Druid and the Huntress, which is exactly what I expected to come out, given Grinding Your Games said they were almost ready for the launch of early access. They just needed a few more minor tweaks and additions, and then they'd be good to go. Well, we are 3 months into early access, so of course this content update, which should be hitting March 21st, March 28th, or April 5th, would have the Druid and the Huntress. Well, these teasers kind of imply maybe they're going with other classes. Gladiatorial capitalized? If you don't know, one of the other classes coming is the Gladiator. Yes, we thought it was the Duelist. Well, on the website it says Gladiator. In the art book it says Gladiator, so I don't know if they're still called the Duelist. This is the class related to swords and dual wielding. Could this be coming in this update? And then we have this, the Gods of Rayclast, okay? Show your devotion to the Gods of Rayclast. That seems mighty related to the Templar, okay? Which is the Paladin or the Holy Warrior that will be coming with flails and more divine-centric skills. I am a little worried that the Druid might not be coming in this patch. I'm serious. Or they go absolutely above and beyond, and we get the Huntress, we get the Druid, we get the Templar, we get the Gladiator / Duelist. But is that way out of line? I'm not quite sure, because if they want to abide by the 6 to 12 month early access window, 6 months not happening, 12 months maybe, they would need to add a crap load of stuff in this update. And we did just read this right here that said, okay, these ascendancies, minor things, the big changes coming have to stay under wraps. Classes, acts, major shifts to endgame, new weapons. I think that is totally feasible for 0.2.0. Tell me in the comments, is this absolute hopium? It just might be. Next, we have 5 new support gems that were teased a few days ago. The first is Derange, which essentially allows you to scale your intelligence to do more damage, which is ridiculous, right? More stat stacking goodness. The next one is pretty interesting. It's basically a skill called Molten Strike from Path of Exile 1, put on a support gem in Path of Exile 2. Doesn't look too great given how mobile enemies are, but I'm sure there will be ways to make the projectiles work. The next one, also a little interesting. It's called Embitter. It allows you to essentially turn other elemental damage types into cold damage, which therefore allows you to chill and freeze enemies, and freeze being the best ailment in the game right now. I really like this. I'm going to definitely try this out. I think there's many different builds in which this can work, especially since freeze is so powerful. And then there is concoct, which mixes together your life flask with bleeding damage, essentially, which there is a severe lack of bleeding skills in the game and bleeding methods of scaling in the game. And then we have this right here with the flask, and there are a lot of nodes on the tree connected to changing the way flasks work or buffing how they work that people don't really utilize right now. There are also unique items that change how flask works, right? So this is actually pretty interesting to try to maneuver around, given there's pretty much nothing else in the game besides Pathfinder flasks that work with your potions. And then the last one right here is commiserate. This is a big brain one that I can't wrap my mind around. Essentially, it allows you to buff your ailments. That's essentially what it allows you to do. Next up is one of the most controversial changes currently introduced, and that is the change to towers in Path of Exile 2 in 0.2.0. Essentially, towers are turning into maps. They can have all the content maps have. They have bosses like that boss right there. That is from Trial of the Sekimas, floor 3. And you can also buff the content in towers with tablets. People don't like this change, and some people like this change, okay? So the pro crowd are essentially saying, great, cool, we have content in towers now. I was doing towers anyway. Now we have content in them. Great. I'm in that crowd, but I understand the other side. And I'm in that crowd because I do not optimize anything. I just play, right? The optimizing crowd says, oh my goodness, we have content in towers now. As you can see here, now the tablets we use can affect other towers, and towers don't have the best layouts, and that really sucks. And a lot of the time in these layouts, like if you get a breach, like right here, the breach is going to be terrible. The ritual is going to be terrible. The expedition is going to suck. I don't want the content in these towers due to their layouts. That's essentially that side of the argument. I see it. I understand it. I still think that there is work to do with towers to make them more interesting or to completely alter the end game altogether. People who haven't played Path of Exile 1 need to understand that over the course of my time playing Path of Exile 1 from 2019 to the present day, they completely redid the end game 5 or 6 times, and I'm not exaggerating. So this is by no means going to be the final iteration. This screams to me just a change that they can make in the short term while they're also working on finishing out Act 4, 5, and 6, while they're working on getting the classes ready and done, while they're working on the rest of the items in the game. And this is what they could do in the short term to help towers feel better. And unfortunately, for a large swath of the players, some of them don't think this was a positive change. As you can see in the comments, lots of people are debating whether or not this is positive or not. And I reckon the majority of people probably see this as a negative change. Thought I'd just show this off as well. Somebody found the Templar in Path of Exile 2, the actual character model for him. So if he's coming, this is what he looks like in the game. And then we had the first Path of Exile 2 race event occur on Sunday, and the top 3 spots went to warriors, with the very top spot going to Angermus. Congratulations, man. He was level 28 and he finished in 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 37 seconds. Absolutely insane run. Absolutely smashed everybody else on the ladder. And as an analysis for the race, Leap Slam, goated, Shield Charge, goated, and Maces, wow. Maces are incredibly strong in the campaign. Warrior is incredibly strong in the campaign because armor scaling in the campaign is actually good. Maces are actually great in the campaign. All these movement skills feel great. You can skip past all these barriers. They are the best speedrunners, warriors, as you can see right here, by a long stretch. There's really no analysis to be done besides that. Angerbus also knew the layouts absolutely perfectly because he is collaborating with a bunch of other creators in a Discord server called the Campaign Codex, which is ran by Guitarholic and Localhole. I'll have a link to that in the description below. It's a pretty awesome place, and if you want to learn how to run the campaign faster, you can definitely join it. Okay, and I felt I had to bring this up to Grinding Gear Games. Why is the cinematic, the awesome cinematic, not in-game? Did anyone realize this? This intro to Act 1 is not in Path of Exile 2 Early Access right now. If that's intentional, Grinding Gear Games, why? And if it's not, get it in there, and at least get it in there before Early Access ends in 12 months to 24 months. Finally, to round out the video, I just have 2 announcements to make that people who watch my streams will already know about. First is I will be interviewing the developers at 11th Hour Games, the last Epoch creators, on March 21st at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, there will be updates. The VOD will be posted on YouTube afterward, but it's going to be pretty awesome. I hope you join in. And I will be interviewing game director on Path of Exile 2, Jonathan Rogers, at an undisclosed time. Of course, everybody's going to know when that actually happens, and I will get questions all of your way. I like to be collaborative with these interviews, but once 020 is announced, I should get that interview date, and before it launches, we will be talking to Jonathan on YouTube and Twitch. That's all, my fellow exiles. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel for more, and watch this video right now all about the Trials of Ascension debate in Path of Exile 2. I really appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sane.